All right, so section 2.1a, order of operations and expressions. So the whole point of this lesson is to go over PEMDAS, right? How to do math in the correct order, so order of operations, and then go over expressions, and expressions meaning like combining like terms and stuff like that. Okay, usually that's 2 sections in an Algebra 1 lesson, so right here they're doing it in one. I know part of this lesson calls for formulas, and you're going to kind of see what I'm talking about in formulas. But formulas are very basic. They might have like x plus y if x is 2 and y is 3. So they call that a formula. Not so much a formula, but something for you to plug in. So the lesson isn't too terrible. So let's go ahead and get started. First, let's just talk about the order of operations, right? So you guys already know this, I hope. Okay, but this is our acronym. Now, surprisingly, sometimes when I teach this, some students are like, wait, I didn't know you could do that. But let me go over this stuff. So first off, parentheses, right? Anytime you have parentheses, you got to take care of that first. Okay, so if you had something like this, you need to add 1 plus 4 first. Okay, now in this case, if you didn't and you distribute it, it'd still be okay. But according to the order of operations, you want to do the addition first. And once you do that, then you can multiply eventually. But you want to do parentheses first. Okay, next thing is going to be exponents. Okay, and exponents are basically powers, right? That's another word for them. So if you have something like, I don't know, 3 times 4 minus 5 to the third power, you're going to want to do the exponent first. Okay, after that, you're going to well, not the exponent first, but you're going to do the parenthesis first, then go to your exponent from there on. Okay, don't multiply yet. Multiplication is coming. Okay, so parentheses, take care of those first. Then, once you're done doing the parentheses portion, take care of your exponents next. Okay, now the next two go together. It's multiplication and then I'm going to put right here, or division. Most of the time when students get these things incorrect on a quiz or homework and stuff like that, it's because they think that multiplication must occur before division because it's first in the order, right? P-E-M, then D, right? But multiplication or division is the correct way to do it. So whichever one comes first from left to right. So let me put that right here. What comes first from left to right. Okay, whatever comes first from left to right. So that's really important that you guys note that, okay? It has to be from left to right. Just like reading a book. And same with the last 2 letters. The last things you get to do are addition and subtraction. So addition, subtraction. This is also an or statement. Okay? Whatever comes first from left to right. I'm trying out. I don't know why this is not doing it, but okay, I'll figure it out later. I'll write it out. I usually can just copy paste, which is kind of nice, but it's not wanting to do it, so we'll see why later. What comes first from left to right? Okay, so left to right, very important. So again, I know that you probably know this. I'm pretty sure you start learning this somewhere around 6th or 7th grade. So I know you've seen this, okay? There's no way you could have got into this math without ever seeing this. So I'm not too worried about going over and doing tons of examples for each little piece. But I would like to do some examples just to, because I promised you that I was going to do examples from your homework. So that way when we did the examples, I was doing your homework, right? So I want to stick to that because that's kind of nice to do. So we're going to do a couple of examples here. So example number 1. And all we're going to do is just simplify. Sometimes the directions will say evaluate, but a lot of times people think of evaluate as an equation. It has to have an equal sign. So I always like to rather say simplify, but evaluate, simplify, same thing. The first part of your homework is going to tell you to do it without a calculator, but don't worry, it's not like they're super hard to do. Let me show you. Let's try something like 4 plus 1 times 4. Again, they're not supposed to be that difficult, so don't say that's too easy. Yes, I know. Order of operations is pretty straightforward. All right. So according to this, remember your order of operations says start with your parentheses, then go to exponents, then multiplication or division, and then addition or subtraction. So in this case, what should I do first? The what? The addition? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, the addition. Let's do the parenthesis first, right? So we got to add first. So 4 plus 1, that's going to give me 5 times 4. Well, I have no other choice but to multiply, right? 5 times 4 is 20. And you're done. Okay? So yeah, it doesn't take very long to do these things in the most case. It's not that bad. Now let's do this one right here. Negative 4 divided by 3 minus 6 minus 1. So negative 4 divided by 3 minus 6 minus 1. So what should I attempt to do first in this one? Yeah, we got to do the parentheses, right? So we're going to do the subtraction of 3 minus 6, and then I'm going to subtract 1. I'm going to do a step by step. If you're like, why is he taking so many steps? I like to show all the steps required because there's always somebody in a classroom that doesn't want to say anything, but they need to see everything, right? But sometimes they're a little embarrassed to tell people like, hey, can you show me the in-between steps? So I will tend to show most steps. If you can do it faster than me, awesome. Okay, I'm not going to be like, hey, you did it in 2 steps, I did it in 5, you're wrong, right? No. So if you're kind of following me and you're like, why is he taking so long? I just like to show everything, okay? That way I don't leave anybody behind. So here we go. This is the order in which you're going to be doing this thing. So you're going to have your negative 4, your division. Now 3 minus 6, that's negative 3. And then we still have the minus 1 there, right? Again, I'm not doing it all in one step. I know some of you guys might be saying, like, I would have been done by now. That's fine. No problem. Now, next step is to continue with the parenthesis because we don't have that done yet, okay? So negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. What's my solution for this? Negative 4 divided by negative 4. What should I get? A 1. There you go. Okay? So there you go. You get your answer of 1. Okay? So not too big a deal. Now, I'm going to show you one more, and then we'll move on from this. Okay? Then we'll go on to expressions. Remember, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, please let me know. I know sometimes towards the back there's a little bit of a reflection, and I do apologize for that. There's a projector screen all the way to the left-hand side they brought for me last year. I've been asking them for one. They finally brought one. Now, when they install it, I have no idea. But it's here. Okay, but once I get that projection screen, I can bring that down and there shouldn't be any more glare. But I mean, most students, I try to keep the work towards the bottom, because if I put it way up here, sometimes the glare shows up right there. So I try to keep it a little more towards the middle. Okay, so if you notice that I tend to do a lot of work towards the middle bottom, it's because of that. I'm trying to take into account the fact that there's a little bit of glare towards the back. Anyhow, first thing to do here is what? Exponent? No, parenthesis, right? Still got to do parentheses first. Then I can do the exponents, right? So 3 minus 5 is going to be my first step. That's negative 2 squared plus 5. What's negative 2 squared? It's 4. If you punch in negative 2 squared on your calculator, negative 2 and then square. So in other words, you push this button like this. Negative 2. And then you hit your, I guess, square button like that. What answer does it give me? Does anybody know? It doesn't give me a 4. It gives me a negative 4. Okay? Is it wrong? No, it's right. Because negative 2 squared is negative 4. Because the power only applies to this. That's why whenever you're going to get a negative number and square it, make sure you guys use parentheses. You're going to want to use these little parenthesis buttons. Then put in your negative 2, then put your parenthesis, and then hit your squared button after. Okay? And that'll give you a positive 4. Okay? So, as you work on it and stuff, please ask questions if you're not sure. I mean, you should know negative 2 squared, you're thinking it's 4. And if it keeps feeding you negative 4, if you're not sure why, just talk to me. I'll explain. But parentheses are super important with calculators, especially with negative numbers. Okay? So I know this is besides the fact. But anyway, negative 2 squared, you guys told me was 4. So that's good. 4 plus 5. My answer is what? 9. And we're done. Okay? So not too bad. Right? So there you go. You got 3 different examples there. Now, this next section of problem says evaluate each expression using a scientific calculator or cell phone scientific calculator. Now, obviously, you can't use the cell phones now. I have calculators here that I could let you guys borrow. But if you're at home and you're doing this, feel free to use your cell phone if you want to. Please don't use photo math. I know a lot of people use that. Try these things out on your own, right? They're not crazy difficult. They're basically more of what we're doing right now. So I'm gonna show you guys that stuff, and then we'll move on. So these are just a little bit more complicated expressions, but these say evaluate. Example number 2. Evaluate with a calculator. Okay, so evaluate with a calculator. Now I'll put a calculator up here so we can kind of see it, but let me move this calculator to the side. Give me a second. By the way, if you would like a calculator like the one you see on your cell phone, if you have an Android, you can do that. If you have an iPhone, I can try to help you get it. Okay. But this is a TI-84 Silver Plus. Okay, this is about I think it's $110. They're free on Androids. You can get them for free. On iPhones too, if I could get it to work into your phone. But anyway, I'm gonna use that right now just to help us out with. I'm only gonna do one of these problems. Okay. Because since it's just you punching in numbers, I don't think you really need me to do that. Or maybe I'll do 2. So let's do 2 of them. So here's part A. Don't worry, the calculator popped back up right now. So 2 squared times 3 minus negative 5. So they just want you to be able to do that on your calculator. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to press 2. And everybody's calculator is a little different, so you have to get to know how yours works. And if you don't have one, I can let you borrow one. But I do recommend you have your own. That way it's a little bit easier. But you can see 2 squared. There you go. I put a parenthesis, 3 minus a negative 5. Now I want to show you guys something really quick. Notice how the minus sign and the negative sign look different. Okay? The minus sign is here. Okay, I don't know if you see it on the calculator right here, but it's right here. The negative sign for my calculator is down here. Okay, it normally has a parenthesis around it, or maybe it says plus/minus on your calculators. Okay, if you can't find them, let me know, because if I press 3 minus -5, some calculators freak out and they're like, oh, error, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? Some of them will be like, oh, 2 negatives make a positive. All right, got it. Okay, so everybody's calculator can be different. So if you don't know what's going on, ask me. I'll help you with that. Okay, let me go ahead and hit enter here. And there you go. Your answer is 32. Okay, this is why I don't really want to spend too much time on these, because it is just calculator based. Okay, just calculator based. But we'll do one more. Let me look to see if there's one that's like really complicated. I guess this one looks kind of complicated. So negative 90 times 2 over negative 8 plus 28. Now some calculators, you can put this whole expression in there and it'll do it for you. And some you got to do them piece by piece. I'm going to do it piece by piece, even though the calculator I showed you can do this all in one step. Okay, but I'm going to show you just piece by piece so we can work it out and not get lost. So 90 times 2. Whoops, I opened up the wrong app. Sorry about that. So 90 times 2. Now, if you already know it, you got 180. But if not, then you're just going to go ahead and do that. That's 180, right? So I'm going to put negative 180 divided by, and now negative 8 plus 28. Now, if you're wondering, why did you do multiplication before you did the addition on the bottom? Or maybe if I added first and not multiplied. Since they're on separate sides, top and bottom, that means you can do them individually. So I am going to add negative 8 plus 28 right now. So negative 8 plus 28, that's 20. And then if you know what 180 divided by 20 is, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay. But we should get a 9. So the negative's still out there. So 180 divided by 20 is 9. Okay, so there we go. Now just to show you, again, you could have done this problem all at once. Okay, since it's a fraction, you're going to want to keep the numerator and denominator in parentheses. So it's going to look like this. A negative first, parenthesis, 90 times 2. That's my numerator. Then divided by, parenthesis, negative 8 plus 28. So there it is, everything at once, and I get negative 9. That's my answer, right? So, I mean, if you can get good enough to do all that stuff on your calculator, awesome. If not, step at a time. Nothing wrong with that. All right. Last things, just some expressions, okay? And we're going to do about maybe 2 or 3 of these because there are a total of 2, 4, 6, 7 of them. So this is the last part, example number 3. So just so you know, we're doing calculator work, we're doing order of operations by hands, we're doing expressions, usually about 2 to 3 sections on their own. We're doing them in one, okay? Just to kind of hurry it up a little bit. So we're going to simplify the expression. And remember, all of these examples that I'm doing are homework problems. This is how I kind of keep you into taking notes, right? You wanting to take notes, because by me doing this, that means you get homework done at the same time, right? So simplify these expressions. We'll start off with something that's not too terrible here. N minus 6 plus 3n plus 7. They just want you to simplify this. Now remember, now we're trying to find like terms, okay? So n and 3n, this positive 3n, these are like terms. Okay? And a -6 and this +7, these are like terms. So I'm just going to add my like terms together. So n plus 3n gives me what? 4n. And -6 plus 7 is +1. And we're done. Okay? I used to do my math with colored pencils. Okay, just so you guys know. Not because I was like super neat, but when it got to stuff like this, I used to underline like terms with different colors, greens, blues, yellows. That way I wouldn't get lost. So if you're one of those that kind of loses your place sometimes because there's too many letters, use some colored pencils. They help, okay? I use highlighters because that's my only other option other than the colored ink. So, but highlighters work just fine too. All right, let's do another one. Again, as you can see, these aren't terribly difficult. We're going to kind of go a little bit more difficult though. Whoops. Part B. 4 times 9 minus 8r minus 6r. So 4 times the quantity of 9 minus 8r, and then minus 6r. So in order to start this off, I need to do what's called, do you guys know what that was called when I get the 4 and multiply it in? What is that called? Distribute, right? Some people like to say multiplying in, which is usually what I say. But distribution is the proper term, right? So we're going to go ahead and distribute in. Okay? So 4 times 9, that's 36. 4 times 8, well, notice there's a minus in the middle, right? 4 times 8, that's 32r. And then I have my minus 6r at the end. Notice the parenthesis goes away because I cannot simplify 36 minus 32r, right? They're not like terms. One is just a number, one is, I guess you could say it's like a monomial, right? It's a term with a variable. So I can't put those two together, but I can join negative 32r minus 6r. Those are like terms, so I'm going to put 36. And what do I get? Negative 32 minus 6 is what? Negative 38, right? If they're the same signs, you add. So I always tell people same signs sum, right? So negative 32, negative 6, so 32 plus 6 is 38. Just keep it negative. Okay? So here's your answer for that one. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. You guys are going to be getting your homework right now. It's going to be a handout. Remember, write your name on it, which I don't know why I didn't put a place for your name on it. I'm sorry. The other one should. But write your name on it, and then I'm going to have you guys turn this in next Tuesday, okay?